I hope you enjoyed the performance of Pendulum, an original composition by my cousin Asif, Virani, and I. Let's hear it for the wonderful musicians. You have all just witnessed diversity, pluralism, and cosmopolitanism in the past few minutes. How, you may wonder, and what do these things even mean? That is what we are going to discover today. How music and art can help us understand the importance of living a cosmopolitan life. Okay, so just by a show of hands, how many of you guys have ever felt different in a crowd because of your skin color, your gender, your religion, your beliefs? Okay, great. Now, how many of you guys have ever fought with someone because of these differences? And let's be honest here, we all have. I want you to think about the outcome of this. Was it for the better or for the worse? Now, imagine how often this must happen. Each and every one of us are different in so many ways. And a lot of times, we begin to compete because of these differences. Now, imagine how different this world would be if we viewed these differences as blessings rather than threats, opportunities rather than barriers. From a young age, I have been taught by both my faith, Islam, and my family that although we're different in a lot of ways, we should celebrate our diversity, that we are much better together than we can ever be on our own. Although the power of diversity is obvious to me, every day I witness people around me negatively connotate differences as a separating factor. Now, I know what you're all thinking. That's all great, but what does it have anything to do with music and art? Music and art have been my passions for as long as I can remember. I started banging on pots and pans and scribbling all over the walls as a toddler, and now I play several instruments, including all of these, and practice many forms of art. Because of this, I tend to draw connections between the arts and what is happening in the real world around me. And through music and art, the necessity of diversity is clear. Okay, so to begin, what is this word, diversity? Defined simply, diversity is the condition or the fact of being different or varied. Oftentimes, we may be under the impression that simply coexisting with others in a diverse world is enough, when in reality, there is so much more to accomplish, as differences are present anywhere, regardless. Not only is there diversity in our cultures, ethnicities, races, and religions, as it is often mentioned, but in a myriad of other things. For example, age, perspectives, experiences, and sexual orientation are all among the great number of ways which we differ. To get a better grasp of this concept, we can turn to music. In even the simplest forms of music, there is diversity present. Listen to the beginning of what we just played a few minutes ago. Although there was just one instrument playing, the vibraphone, there was still diversity present. The notes being played, the bars being struck, and the time signatures, or the number of beats in every measure, were changing. Differences are inevitable, not only in music, but in humanity. Even a community that consists of seemingly homogeneous people is diverse visibly and in ways that are out of sight. Clearly, achieving diversity is really no achievement at all. Perhaps a pluralistic lens is what can help build the path to thriving societies. As stated by the Global Center for Pluralism in Ottawa, Canada, pluralism is an ethic of respect for diversity. Whereas diversity is a fact, pluralism is a choice. Now, pluralism is not just tolerance, contrary to popular belief. We may often hear that you must have tolerance towards the diversity around you, but think about going up to someone and saying, "I tolerate you." It sounds kind of mean, doesn't it? By simply tolerating one another, stereotypes and prejudices remain, and divisions and conflicts continue. What we must instead strive to do is work past these lines of difference and actively seek to understand diversity. This means that rather than steering away from differences, pluralism is the process of encountering differences and learning from them. So next time, think twice before you stay away from someone, just because something about them is different or unfamiliar, and create dialogue with them to learn something new. Once again, this is a concept that can be better understood through music. In any given piece of music, making the choice to use diversity as a strength enhances the music. The different instruments don't all just keep to themselves and coexist with the others, but rather collaborate with the others to form one cohesive piece of music. In our performance earlier, as more and more instruments were added on, they each contributed to the whole. Rather than avoiding diversity, we embraced it as a strength. Music without diversity would frankly be boring and literally monotone. Without pluralism, however, music would be chaos, and let's be real, it would be pretty hurtful to our ears. I think we've all heard enough. This can all be very similarly applied to humanity. Music doesn't reach its full potential or sound appealing without intermingling and collaborating, and we would never even know how beautiful it could be if we didn't do this. So imagine the potential that humanity as a whole carries and the beauty that we all can reach by working together. Yeah, I mean, of course, we're different, but if we don't learn to accept these differences and use them to move forward, we'll face increasingly costly damage, as we have seen in the past. Simply coexisting with and tolerating others is just not enough. And we need pluralism to create a sustainable future for the world at large. Now, granting all this, there's a step even farther that we can all take to harness diversity for good. And that is cosmopolitanism. Ultimately, creating a cosmopolitan society should be our goal. Let's break down the word cosmopolitan itself to gain some perspective. The word derives from the ancient Greek term cosmopolites. Cosmos is defined as cosmos, or universe, while polites means citizen. So when combined, a cosmopolitan is literally defined as a citizen of the world. A cosmopolitan not only values pluralism, but honors both our distinctive identities and what we share in common. A cosmopolitan ethic is one in which differences and similarities are both viewed as strengths, reinforcing each other. The notion of cosmopolitanism can be perfectly portrayed through music. Take, for example, this section of Pendulum. The different colors represent the different melodic lines, and the red vertical lines show when the notes being played create a chord. Let's hear the music and then dig deeper into it and analyze what's really going on. All the notes being played were different almost every beat. For instance, here there's an A flat, a G, a B flat, and a D, all being played as part of different melodies, yet when played together, they create a chord. The same thing happens every single time there is a red vertical line. What this shows us is that even though we're all different, we can create social harmony, and on top of that, counterpoint. The combination of two or more independent melodies into a single harmonic texture, in which each retains its linear character. This perfectly describes the essence of cosmopolitanism, having a sense of both independence and belonging within our communities. Music is meant to be different so that it can come together to create something beautiful, and I truly believe the same for us. Together, we can create a beautiful world. Looking back at the music, each line has its own separate melody, yet all the voices play in conjunction with each other. Exactly like this, we all have our own identities and beliefs, and we can keep those while working with others to strengthen our societies. If we choose to set aside our differences, as we're often told, then all but one of us would be irrelevant, as we would all be the same. The same goes for music. If all the elements were the same, none of them would be needed, except one. But if the differences and the similarities are used together as strengths, then a better and more cohesive whole is created. Now, music is not the only way to communicate this cosmopolitan approach to a better world. In fact, art is another perfect way to do so. This is a painting I made called One Soul, One World, which illustrates the beauty and the necessity of diversity. The Arabic at the bottom, which is a verse from the Quran, translates to, "O mankind, be careful of your duty to your Lord, who created you from a single soul, and from it created its mate, and from them twain hath spread abroad a multitude of men and women." This verse, although from the Quran, doesn't speak only to Muslims, but to all of humankind, and tells us that we're different for a reason. If diversity was a threat or a burden, as it is often viewed, we wouldn't have been created diverse to begin with. The interlace in the center represents the single soul mentioned in the verse, and from it emerges the pattern that continues throughout the painting. Every branch of the web, although all different colors and in different locations, can still be traced back to the design in the middle. For example, this area, all the way across from this area, can still be traced back to the design in the middle, and they're both connected to each other. In this painting, or any other, the diverse elements come together to bring beauty to the whole. One prime example of this is the blending of the colors. The different colors don't all just keep to themselves and coexist in their own areas, but rather their differences are taken advantage of. Now, they don't all blend together to create one uniform surface, but rather work to create new colors while keeping their own. Now, through both music and art, the importance of understanding, accepting, and using diversity to move forward is clear. But regardless of this, we see differences causing division day in and day out. Every single day, each and every one of us witnesses diversity, what should be a centripetal force, tearing people apart and causing conflicts. In fact, here in Houston, what we call the most diverse city in the United States, differences cause division every day, and we find ourselves divided on every little thing, from political standpoints to what sports we enjoy. What's happening is that we're not open to the differences between us. This is a worldwide problem, and through music and art, it's clear that the solution is cosmopolitanism. Now, I know when explained through music and art, it seems like a fairly simple concept, but when applied to real life and to humanity, it's much, much more difficult. It's comparatively easy to work with colors and notes. We have the control over them, but it's extremely challenging to work with our egos, our personalities, our outlooks, and our beliefs. This change isn't something we can make by pulling a plug or flipping a switch, but rather through a slow progression of opening our minds, accepting the differences, changing our perspectives, and eventually changing our worldviews. And music and art can help us with the first step, realization. Realization of our potential as a whole. And through the arts, not only do we gain this realization that we're better together, but a vision for the future. A future where diversity is not disregarded, but where we use our differences to empower each other and to create a better world for everyone. A future where diversity is reason to appreciate one another rather than have hatred. A future where every single person is a cosmopolitan, a citizen of the world. Thank you.